Considerations of estimates for Budget 2018 is currently ongoing at Parliament. On Wednesday, December 13, Opposition Chief Whip Gail Teixeira sought to question the estimates of Region 9. She alleged that the community of Arnaputa has been gazetted as a neighborhood democratic council. With us is Minister of Communities Ronald Bulkan, who is here to respond to the allegations.
Yes, Ernestine, as you have related, during the examination of the estimates for Region Number 9, and following a question from the regional MP, Alastair Charlie, who sought to inquire if the chairperson of the Arnaputa Village Council is the recipient of any stipends from the central government on the particular line item, and to which my answer was in the affirmative. It led to a follow-up question from Opposition Chief Whip, Ms. Gail Teixeira, who, among other things, alleged that the village of Arnaputa, which is in the North Rupununi, that it has been designated and gazetted, as she alleged by me, as a neighborhood democratic council. Actually, this is not so. This is incorrect. The order, any order gazetting the village of Arnaputa as a neighborhood democratic council has not yet been effected. The administration, and I'm on record as indicating that the administration is desirous and will accord the village of Arnaputa the status as a neighborhood democratic council, but the arrangements have not been concluded, they have not been finalized to allow for such an order to be issued and gazetted. Nonetheless, it is the desire of the administration to provide support to officers within that village, consistent with support that is given to other local government organs across the country.
She's also claiming that there are no elected officers of the council. Is that true?
That also is erroneous. Elections for officers and for a council in the village of Arnaputa were conducted in July of 2015, simultaneously with elections for Amrinin village councils held across the country at the same time, and at which a chairperson and other officers of the council was elected. So Mr. Teixeira's allegation that there are no elected officers in the village of Arnaputa, and her assertion that perhaps there may be appointed officers or an interim management council officers appointed by my ministry is incorrect. The council that exists in the village of Arnaputa is an elected council following internal elections that were conducted, as I said, in July of 2015, at which I believe the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs, as well as the Regional Democratic Council of the Upper Takatu, Upper Essequibo region, supervised and monitored.
The Opposition Chief Whip is also alleging that it is unlawful to utilize line item 6211 for the payment of any local government officer, as that line item can only be used for the payment of stipends for Tushaus and deputy. Is this true?
Yes, this also is another erroneous assertion by Madam Teixeira. The chart of accounts pertaining to the financial regulations, the financial guidelines for the expenditures of public monies, and in this particular instance, the chart of accounts relating to agencies 71 to 78, which are the Regional Democratic Councils, regions 1 to 10, with regards to and in relation to the emoluments, it speaks of emoluments paid to regional and local government officers, as well as stipends to Tushaus where applicable. So there's nothing exclusive in that regulation that prevents the payment of a stipend to local government officers. As I've just said, the chart of accounts does provide for the payment of emoluments as well as stipends to regional as well as local government officers.
And Minister Bulkan, what do you think is the opposition's driving concern of the government's desire to pay a stipend to the chairperson of Arnaputa?
Yes, and I think this brings us to really a troubling aspect, because there are numerous Amerindian villages. There are, I think, either 212 or 213 Amerindian village councils across our 10 regions, and for which each chairperson, or each tushao rather, receives a monthly stipend of $30,000, a deputy tushao $15,000, and for satellite villages where you have senior councillors, such senior councillors receive a monthly stipend of $20,000. The community or village of Arnaputa, which is in the North Rupununi, is not an Amerindian village. It's not a titled Amerindian village. It's a mixed community, but it resides within predominantly and adjacent to predominantly other Amerindian villages. And they have not been accorded any official local government status for an extended period of time, quite a few decades. And following representation from residents in the community of Arnaputa, the administration has determined and decided that they will be accorded local government status, or the status of a neighborhood democratic council. It is the case, however, as I have said, that the arrangements have not been concluded to be able to effect or gazette the regulation officially granting them such status. However, in the interim, the administration has decided that stipends that are paid to other local government organs of a similar nature will be paid to the chairperson of this particular village. And to me, it is quite troubling that the opposition would go to this extent to try to create an issue when there really should not be one. But the only thing I can think of, and it's consistent with public statements that have been made by members of the opposition who are seeking to drive a wedge between and using as an example any governmental support to the village of Arnaputa and the residents who live in Arnaputa, and to make out a case to other indigenous villages in the Rupununi and elsewhere that this administration is biased, that this administration is prejudiced in favor of other communities at the expense of indigenous peoples, indigenous peoples and indigenous villages. And nothing can be further from the truth. So it is lamentable, it is regrettable that this insidious phenomenon of racism, which is prevalent on the coast, on our coastland, that the opposition wants to inject it into hinterland communities and to pit brother against sister and communities against each other. It is rather unfortunate, and I was quite taken aback last night to see not only coastal residents, but that the resident Amerindian Member of Parliament, Mr. Charlie, also seems to be part and parcel of this rather misguided attempt to drive a wedge within communities in Region 9 and in the Rupununi. What we need is to be looking out for each other, not to be dividing communities. And this is why I found the line of questioning on the part of the opposition, and in particular their Chief Whip, Mr. Shearer, to be very regrettable and unfortunate as to her contention that it is unlawful for the central government to be utilizing that line item for the payment of a stipend to that particular village council. I've given the chart of accounts, what is specified in the financial regulations, and this is not so. And I trust that upon closer examination that Madam Teixeira may wish to offer an explanation that is appropriate to the circumstances.
Thank you, Minister, for taking time to clarify some of the questions asked in budget estimates.
Thank you.